I'd love to point you to some resources. If you are reading God's Word and you come across something that is unfamiliar, maybe seems a little strange or odd, or you want to know more about it. And these resources can be used individually or along with a group. We have some great groups that are available that are meeting. We keep our website page about locals updated, and we'd love to connect you with a group to have some people around you to be able to walk through reading God's Word, studying God's Word more deeply together. Some of the resources that I want to point you to can be found on a resource list that we're putting together for our website. And so let's say that, just practically speaking, you're reading through the book of Ephesians. And you come across Ephesians 2 that talks about the dividing wall of hostility that's mentioned in verse 14. What is that? What exactly does that mean? And where might you go to find out more about that? One of the resources that we really love is this one called Blue Letter Bible. It's found at www.blueletterbible.org. And when you go to that website, you can find the references and then click on the tools. And that section that's next to each verse will give you some tools to be able to check out what the word is in the original language and any other similar references. There's also several commentaries that you can find that you can click to. And when you click on those, for example, the Matthew Henry commentary, you would find on this particular verse that he, that is Jesus, broke down the middle wall of partition, the ceremonial law, that made the great feud, and was the badge of the Jews' peculiarity, called the partition wall, by way of allusion to the partition in the temple, which separated the court of the Gentiles from that into which the Jews only had liberty to enter. Thus he abolished in his flesh the enmity. Now, this verse is talking about some actual place, a dividing wall that was in the temple that separated people. And it says that Jesus, when he came along, removed that wall of separation. If you had extra time, you could do a deeper dive into this by looking at some of the podcasts that we also have recommended, audio commentaries that are there. For example, I really love listening to the 30 Minutes in the New Testament podcast from 1517. These two Lutheran pastors who explain passages one verse at a time. And in their episode on this particular verse, they point out that Paul is not only talking about the dividing wall in the temple, that geographical location, but also that this might be actually a reference to the crucifixion of Jesus. Remember, the curtain in the temple is torn from the top to the bottom. That God actually separated, God removed that wall of separation, that curtain of separation between himself and the Holy of Holies and where the people would have been gathered. So there's all sorts of different things that we can learn, that we can dive more deeply into when we study, using the resources that we have available to us. Now, if you happen to have a Lutheran study Bible, you could also find all these things out in the study notes that are found at the bottom of the page. And if you're curious about getting a Lutheran study Bible, where to find those and how to use that, we'd love to walk with you through that, to be able to use it for yourself and really start to explore these tools, become familiar with them, and be able to use them in studying God's Word. With these resources at your fingertips, what would be the first thing that you'd want to learn more about? Do you have a list of some things that you're curious about? Maybe jot a few of those down and let's talk about them.